So in this video we are going to be talking about a lot of propaganda that I keep seeing on X that talks about how open source is just 6 months behind. And I've been hearing this for like the last 2 years. How open source is just 6 months behind and the models are catching up fast. Yes, they are catching up fast, but I don't think they are just 6 months behind. The 6 months behind line is exactly what I have an issue with. I'm all for open models. I love open models, and I actually fully support the open source AI, right? So I do believe that open source is the way to go, and everybody should be supporting open source, using open source. But where do you draw the line? That is the real question here. Yes, you can use open source, but how much? At what places? Can you actually use open source? Is it even usable? Like, where are the limitations, right? So these are all the questions that I do not often see asked on X. Now I'll see a lot about how you need to buy a Mac Mini, how you need to buy a DGX Spark, how you need to have your own hardware so you can buy your freedom, etc, etc. So all these talking points you'll have a lot. A lot of accounts will be posting the same things. And I do believe there is also a lot of propaganda push from Nvidia, from AMD, from other companies that like pay these agencies to push all these accounts that are posting. Like, somebody will post an article and the other bot accounts will just keep retweeting it, how you need to buy a DGX Spark and this and that. That is a whole different video. If you guys want me to cover that, let me know. So we'll be testing a few things here right now. I'll show you why I do not believe that open source is just 6 months behind. That is just not the truth, right? And that pisses me off because a lot of people fall for it and they kind of start relying on local models. And first of all, not everybody can afford local models, right? Local means on your hardware, and you need a lot of money to buy that hardware. So they assume that everybody's got the money to buy the hardware and you just need to run local, right? Yeah, India is the first place where we'd be running locally if everybody had that hardware. So hardware is the bottleneck, not the pitch for the local AI. So this guy is the prime example. I like his intentions, and this guy actually shares a lot of valuable stuff on X, right? However, what I do not like is all he talks about how you need to get your hardware, how you need to buy the GPUs. Yes, that might be right, but that is just a part of the equation, right? First of all, as I mentioned, not everybody has the money to buy these heavy GPUs that cost like $10,000, $20,000. In my estimate, you need a minimum of like $15,000 to $30,000 or $50,000 to run local models comfortably. Okay, even if you spend $50,000, are they going to be as effective as the frontier models that you can just buy with $200 subscription? That is another question, and the answer is no for now. That might change. The ROI dynamics might change as these guys, as the big companies like frontier companies and labs go away from the subsidized model and go towards the APIs, right? Now that might make more sense, but even then you'll not be able to totally avoid the frontier labs, in my opinion. So this guy again, prediction, Fable 5 equivalent in open source is 8 months away, right? Now this guy is absolutely wrong. And why I can tell you that is because we do not even have an equivalent of like Sonnet 4.6 yet. So how the hell are we going to have an equivalent of Fable 5 when we do not even have any for Sonnet 4.6? I use OpenClaw heavily, I use Hermes heavily, right? All the local models, I haven't seen one local model that can come close to Sonnet 4.6. Yes, one can compete, and that is GLM 5.1. That is actually my favorite GLM model, and now 5.2, I guess. I haven't even tried it yet. So GLM 5.1 is what we got the closest to Sonnet 4.6, and it is not there yet. It is maybe like 80% of Sonnet 4.6, not even Opus 4.6, 7, 8. and totally not Fable 5 equivalent. I can bet like whatever I got, right? So this guy is totally wrong, and this guy likes to talk about stuff like that, which is totally unreasonable. So this is another post that I do not agree with, and I feel like it totally misses the point. So easiest way to start on this is to get yourself an RTX 3090 and fine-tune Qwen 3.5 to be based on a bunch of personalized data, by the way. Local AI is the future, learning how you can open source model inference, how to evaluate them systematically, evolves, and how to customize them, fine-tune RL. Post-training are invaluable skills to start learning today. First of all, it does not matter how much you fine-tune this model, it is going to be like almost not usable, right? And this is exactly my point. These models are not usable at all. Now he's talking about Qwen 3.5 2B. I can bet you can get Qwen 3.6 or 3.7 and 397 billion parameters one, and even in 8-bit, and it will not be able to compete with Sonnet 4.6. And I say that with experience. I have used it heavily for months and months, and I have used all of the open source model, and I have tested them, and they do not compare at all. So if you take a look at this post, you can see Kimi K 2.7 code. This is like the latest, right? And if you look here, you need 310 GBs plus VRAM/RAM setups, right? So everyday person does not have this kind of money to buy this. If you look at the minimum, 339 GB is the minimum, and maximums are these. If you buy a DGX Spark, you'll get 128 gigs, and that is like $5,000 or $6,000. Now if you were to run this model with this quant, you would need at least 6 of those, which comes around, I think, over $30,000. So you mean to tell me even if I spend $30,000, I would not be getting any performance that is close to the frontier models? So the question that I now have is, if you have to spend $30,000, right, for your wild idea, then are you better off spending it on DGX Spark and GPUs, which is a local model, right? Or are you better off spending it on a frontier lab subscriptions like Claude Code? Which one is going to give you the highest amount of ROI? Which one is actually going to give you this, right? This is what you are after. So if you have $30,000, yes, you can buy DGX and you can run local models, but what are the kind of results you are going to get? Will you be able to get your application up and running with all the features, all the UI, all the complicated backend work? Will it be able to do it for you? Or you can just spend $20,000 on Frontier, get your wild idea working, get some users ASAP, and if it works, then you are going to be raising the funds anyways. So this is kind of like a loop problem, that how soon can you get from basically open source to your wild idea turning into a reality, versus from closed source and frontier labs? Which one is going to give you the ROI, this path or this path? Because at the end of the day, if your idea works, you will be raising the funds anyways. And once you do that, then it doesn't matter how many DGX Spark you have, because you'll be investing heavily in OpenAI's and Anthropic's anyways to build further features and to expand. Now do not get me wrong, it doesn't mean that open source does not have its place. A lot of simple tasks you can use open source for, but if you want to get your wild idea up and running, and if you want to gain users, gain followers, then I'm not sure if this is the path that one should be taking. Now unless you are a very experienced coder and you know how to work with local models and how to get the maximum value, then maybe this might make sense for you. But for the majority vibe coders like myself, this path makes more sense. And by the way, benchmarks like these are a whole different story. On paper, they claim to be performing better than this, better than that. Initially, I fell for it. I was like, holy shit. All I need to do is buy a DGX Spark or maybe a MacBook Pro or a Mac Studio with 512 gigs of RAM or maybe two of them, and I'll be able to run Sonnet level models locally. I was super excited, super happy. I was about to buy it, but then since Apple is busy taking Mac Studios off their site, I was not, and it's a good thing that I was not able to buy it because I would be probably regretting it right now. Let's actually test it live now. I have two tabs. One is for OpenCode. We'll be running Kimi K 2.7, which is the hardest thing right now, I believe, on X. And then we got Claude Sonnet 4.6. Now you might say Sonnet 4.6 just came out in Feb, so it is about to be 6 months. And this is not even their top model. This is Kimi's top promising model 2.7 code, right? And Claude, the Sonnet 4.6 is basically third tier now. We got Opus 4.7, then 4.8, and then we got Fable, which is right now is banned as we speak. And we got Kimi K 2.7. So we'll just test them right now and we'll see if the quality is good or not. Okay, so this is the prompt that I'll be running. Okay, so let me just copy this and I'll paste this and I'll hit and I'll paste this as well and I'll set it to auto and I'll start it. So let's see how the results look, if they are truly 6 months behind or not. So our Kimi K 2.7 code is done generating, so let's take a look. So this is what Kimi produced. Edit videos like a pro with ClickForge, AI powered cut. Looks very AI, right? This is exactly the format people are hating on right now, saying it looks AI slop and this and that. But I would say it's not that bad, even though it is bad. So it did add some animation in there, and we also have this slider, which is nice, right? But I don't know what this is supposed to mean. Before drag to compare after. So before is raw, and then we got auto graded output. This does not make any sense. And then we got monthly and yearly. Simple transparent pricing, start fear upgrade when you are ready, cancel anytime. So in yearly it shows with discount. Monthly is a little bit expensive, which is kind of like the by default behavior of all the companies nowadays. If I hit the trial button, nothing happens, obviously, and there is no footer. Okay, let's see what Claude is doing. So Claude is still thinking. So it's been thinking for 4 minutes now. Now this is Claude and this is Sonnet. It does look kind of similar to that AI slop vibe, but the quality is higher, there is no doubt. If you take a look here, you can see the hero section. There's a difference. Okay, this looks cleaner, more professional, and this has like alignment issues, gradient issues. This is clean. It also gave us this, joined by 2400 creators in the last 30 days. So this is social proof, and this is extremely important. Okay, we did not get in anything like that here. And then we got the same thing, before and after. See the difference, drag the handle to compare raw footage against ClickForge's AI color grade. So this is the after and this is the before, right? So this actually works. If you look at this one from Kimi K 2.7, it does not work at all. This doesn't make any sense. this actually works. So this is like faded and this is color corrected, even though I would say I would go like this. So this would be before, this would be after, right? And that's all right. So simple honest pricing, we got pricing. Now this one I'm gonna give it to Kimike 2.7 because the pricing, it shows you what am I missing out on, how much money am I losing if I do not go with the yearly plan. It strikes it and then shows me the amount, but it does not strike and then rewrite the prices. So 3 exports, 720p max, and then we got the footer here and there is no footer. So you can now see that even though we use Sonnet and even though it's a older model or not as top tier now, but Kimike 2.7 code just came out, which is kind of like the flagship thing, and this is the hardest thing right now on X, it still failed to compete with Sonnet. So this is why I say it is not like 6 months behind, it is more like I think 2 years behind. Now every AI expert like to say that like they are just 6 months behind, but I don't know. If you think I'm missing out on something, comment below, and if you'd like me to compare other AI models head to head, comment below because I'll be doing a lot of those, and I'll also be testing these with image generations and how's their performance with harnesses like OpenClaw and Hermes and with other websites where you can multiple models. So it'll be interesting to see. Subscribe though.